Well, welcome to Fried Green Left Wing, Episode 3. I'm John, joined by Bill and Derek. And our first topic we're going to talk about tonight is the UN resolution that was passed Wednesday, titled Combating Glorification of Nazism, Neo-Nazism, and Other Practices that Contribute to the Fueling of Contemporary Forms of Racism, Radical Discrimination, Xenophobia, and Related Intolerance. So the resolution passed. 130 countries voted yes. 51 abstained. 10 did not vote. 2 voted no. The United States being one of the 2 countries that voted no, along with Ukraine. So, 2 countries that have a huge right-wing Nazi problem. I mean, Ukraine's government was overthrown and a new government was put into place by the right wing, especially a large group known as Right Sector. So, thoughts?
As far as I go, to me, I'm just kind of like, it figures. You've got, we still have people that fly Nazi flags in our country, and it's, of course there is a glorification issue with Nazism in our country. We've made countless numbers of movies confronting that issue. But yet, and explained as to on how that this is an issue, and to find out that we voted against that, I would love to say that I'm surprised. Whenever you can go around, with our lovely little tiki torches, chanting blood and soil, and them not be labeled as anything other than deplorable is absurd. So I'm not really surprised.
I agree entirely. I mean, there is nothing more despicable than a Nazi. There's no cleaning up the swastika from the deeds with which it is associated. I've been to Auschwitz. I've been to places in Eastern Europe where the Nazis committed horrible atrocities. Children, women, men, old people, young people, toss them into fire, shooting them, burying them alive, all that stuff. There's just nothing redeemable about a Nazi. They're scum. I can't say it strongly enough. However, there's a qualification. There's not much of the era. The Stalin Communist Party is equal in its status as being despicable. They killed a lot of people themselves. And I glanced at the story here because I hadn't paid attention to this. And I'm not justifying the vote against it. I think we should have voted for the resolution. But there are consequences. There's some depths to it. When the Nazis invaded Latvia, Poland, Ukraine, they liberated those areas from Russia and Stalin. I mean, I've been to numerous Eastern European countries, and every one of them has a museum of terror or occupation. And it deals with the Nazi occupation and the Russian occupation. And the Nazis only lasted 5 years, and the Russians lasted about 30 or 40 years. And they're pretty bad. So I despise the Nazis, but I despise what these Russians did. And it appears that perhaps Russia is using this resolution to score some propaganda points against those governments that were their client states but aren't any longer, that despise them. How do you cut down? How do you qualify that statement? What I'm trying to say here is there's no reason, there's no justifications for not being anti-Nazi. They're scum.
Right.
But there's also what the Russians playing this card in the UN, what they're trying to do in Latvia, Lithuania, etc. Because when the Nazis liberated, we'll use that phrase. It's kind of a strange one to say about Nazis, liberated those countries. Those people that were liberated joined the Nazis to fight against the Russians. But those people that fought against the Russians also joined the Nazis in a lot of the atrocities. I mean, the Bulgaria, Hungary, the Hungarians had the Arrow Cross, and they committed atrocities similar to what the Nazis did. But
I mean, the Ukrainians had guards at camps
exactly.
and
Exactly.
were members of the SS as well. I mean, they glorify that still.
Well, they participated in the they perpetrated a lot of the atrocities under the watchful eye of Nazis. They weren't forced to do it. They were fairly enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
Because of the pervasive anti-Semitism that exists in Europe, in that area all the time. But I don't want to take away from the idea. You condemn Nazis given every opportunity. You condemn them to hell and gone. Hell, I watch for entertainment on YouTube. You can watch Nazis being executed. I kind of enjoyed that. There's some in this country I'd like to see swing. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I find it really interesting that the press release from the United States about why they voted no, they literally argued the guise of free speech, saying that, well, even though they're despicable people, they have the right to, their platform. And I disagree.
I do too. There's limits. It's the shouting fire in the theater kind of circumstance. I think.
Yeah.
In Germany, you better not. I always say that. In Germany, you will find yourself under arrest if you wave a swastika or do anything.
Well, that brings up another good point that Germany abstained from voting. Most of Europe abstained from voting. A lot of them that suffered under Nazism, France, Belgium, all abstained. The UK abstained.
I think likely it's for the reasons I've brought up. It's a.
Oh yeah, it has everything to do with the Russians.
On its surface, it's clear you should be anti-Nazi, but within it, the Russian agenda is probably what they're recognizing and voting against. So I don't think they're voting against glorification of Nazis. They don't like it, but they're not going to give the Russians the play. The Russians that just hacked our entire cyber apparatus, by the way.
Well, that, and I also think that, like, I don't see, I'm sorry, I have not looked into this as much as I probably should have, but like, just knowing what I know about Russia, it's also like, if they're the ones bringing this to the table, whenever you look at the situation that, like, on how Russia has treated its people in the past, it's clearly that they're doing this just like you said, Bill, like just to get their, just for the publicity of it all, just to say, hey, look what we're doing, and not that, like, it's not coming in good faith. Let's just say that. It's coming from, hey, we want to look good right now because right now America's not looking so good right now. So like, how can we get ahead up? How can we get a leg up in this situation? And guess what? This is, if that's the route that they choose to go.
And, I know it's not a great source since John McAfee is in jail for tax evasion, but, he's been quoted as saying, and since, he created McAfee antivirus, that, if something looks like the Russians did it, then the Russians didn't do it because of the trail that's left behind through hacking. People can plant their language through the system and make it look like somebody else did it. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was more likely China or another nation that's making it look like the Russians hacked it. Because, if you think about how good hackers are, why would you leave evidence in your own language that you were in there?
I agree. Now, the Russians, I was on an island in Finland called Suomena. The Russians, it went back and forth between the Russians and the Finns and other countries, but the Russians were very creative. It's a cold place. when they got really cold, there was ice on the ocean in the bay there, and you could shoot somebody, you can hang them. But the Russian method was to cut a hole in the ice and push people in alive.
My.
And that was 100 years ago. The thing about it is, the Russian 100 years ago would cut your throat and smile about it. Truth of the matter is, the Russian of today would cut your throat and smile about it, because they have this vision of themselves as bringing back some grandeur of the Soviet Union or whatever the empire might have been. And they'll do whatever it takes to do it. That's Putin's agenda right now. That's what he wants to do. That's why he's pushing to expand. That's why he's doing what he's doing here and elsewhere. But that's not to exclude we have adversaries in China and the Middle East and everywhere.
No.
Right now, we're as weak as we've ever been, though, because we have a dumbass for president, and he's destroyed the administration and weakened the military. So, and he's not reacting to this latest event, whoever did it, be it Russia, China, or whoever.
Well, whenever it comes to that, I mean, ever since the election, he has not. He's pretty much just gone. It's just like whenever you have an employee that's, getting ready to get laid off or getting ready to quit, they just like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm done. So he's just kind of sitting by. I don't think he has absolutely nothing to bring right now. Besides denial, like I'm not leaving. But like getting back to like the whole Nazi thing, like the us, like I said, us voting against it, I'm not really surprised about. And like you brought up the whole freedom of like us saying that it's because of freedom of speech and not being able to, like, we need to be able to express those emotions. And it's like on one hand, and Bill, you said like it's kind of like shouting fire in a movie theater. And I'm under that same belief that I'm just kind of like, this is something on where we need to change the mindset of. And a lot of these same people that it seems like they would be, flying the swastika or that are holding the Nazi flag up. They're the same ones that are talking about, freedoms and getting back to, patriotism. Like we need to be more patriotic. And it's like, dude, those people fought against us. And the only reason on why they lost was because we started fighting against them. Well, and I mean, there's a lot more that goes into that. Like, the Russians helped a lot during World War II. Like, I'm not just saying that, it was only us, but
yeah, I mean, they lost over 2 million people.
Yeah.
20 million, I believe.
What's that?
20 million. They lost about 20 million people.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up, actually.
No, while you're looking that up, John, like it's just kind of like, what, like you're sitting here saying that you're a patriot, but you want to hold a flag up that we, like, in a lot of people's eyes, that we went over and annihilated. And it was a long drawn out battle. And it's like, but yet, like, it's just like, how did we get there? Like, how is it
these people, but let's not give them any credit either. They're carrying it for shock value. I bet you not 1 out of 20 of them could tell you what happened in Germany before last year, much less what a Nazi flag stands for. They're doing it for shock value and to get attention. And these are the very people that call themselves patriots. They're carrying a Nazi flag.
And you are right, Bill.
They're defenders of the Constitution, and they're carrying a Nazi flag. They got General Flynn, that dumbass, calling for martial law. It's embarrassing that he was ever in the military, much less a general. These people are despicable. I saw a meme recently, and I'm kind of glancing over it right now, but it was some text over his photograph of this guy carrying a rifle over his shoulder, and he's talking. It's basically saying that we will fight for our freedom and our country, and not to be ruled by lesser men, as if it were patriotism to do so. except that particular photograph, the guy was carrying a World War II Mauser and wearing a German uniform from World War II. So, not exactly a statement of patriotism or the American ideal. But it's the quarter-inch perception of what happens rather than the depth that is required to understand. If you advocate for this, you're going to get a lot more than a Smithy uniform made by Hugo Boss. And that's what these people really don't understand.
And you are right. The Soviet Union lost about 27 million in World War II.
And the United States kept them alive by they were our ally in terms of we had a common enemy because they fought with the Nazis to begin with. They allied with the Nazis to tear up, to divide Poland. But if we had not supplied them with materials to fight the Nazis would have won.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They would have been the evil empire that Reagan had to deal with rather than the Russians if we had not supplied them.
I love learning stuff.
So what's going on with the stimulus?
It's not. I mean, they're arguing now. The big issue was to limit the liability of corporations. The Republicans want to put in a provision to limit the liability of corporations to their workers due to exposure to COVID. They're worried about the workers. They're worried about the corporations having to pay for the damage done. The other issue is how much stimulus how much of a unemployment check, $300, half what it was. Stimulus, they may go to $1,200, but I don't know if they will. But they're keeping it under the number of $1 trillion because all of a sudden, after the Russians, after the Republicans, same thing, increased the national debt by almost as much accrued in 2 terms under Obama. They're suddenly fiscal conservatives. They don't want to mortgage our children's future, not recognizing that unless these children can eat and survive, they're not going to have a future. What it comes down to is they're going to do whatever they can to harm the Biden administration and hold this economy down, because anything they might do that benefits Biden, they're not going to do. This is why McConnell refused to pass Trump's advocated $2.5 trillion stimulus bill before the election, because I think he saw that Trump was going to lose, and post-election he had more flexibility to get what he wanted. If Trump had managed to win, it wasn't going to do much anyway. If Trump loses, he's not going to do much anyway. They're trying to harm the economy. They're trying to nickel and dime it. They're going to pull this fiscal policy conservatism game again. And we really need Georgia. We really need Georgia, because there's a time to accrue debt strategically.
Well, I mean, that madman is still trying to get them to overturn stuff for the election. I was just reading his Twitter. I mean,
I know.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, even if he got Georgia, it does not make him president.
Well, exactly.
He
has to get all. He has to run the table. He has to run the table, and he's not going to. I hope.
Yeah, but I agree. February. I'm sure the Republicans will be very concerned about the national debt all of a sudden.
Yeah. But they literally accrued as much in 1 term as Obama did in 2. And they're going to say, well, it was COVID, except it wasn't. Because as of January this year, he'd already done $4.1 trillion. His policies did not stop failing just because COVID appeared. His policies would have added at least another $2 to $2.5 trillion. I think you could attribute about $1.5 trillion of deficit to the debt to COVID. The rest of it's all Trump. And that $1.5 trillion largely accrued because Trump botched the response. We're worse off now. Conditions are worse now than they were back in March when they passed the first bill with $2 trillion. Yet they're trying to nickel and dime, allegedly save a nickel. And how many times have you guys done this? You try to save a buck and you end up spending 10. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. Well,
but they're still buying $120 billion a month of bonds to prop up the market and the banks. I mean, taking care of the 1% does nothing for Main Street.
well, and like people that I work with, like I have a very small group of people that I work with, but like they're talking about on how like, oh, well, people need to get back to work. We need, like we need to worry about this. And it's just like, it's the corporations are getting bailouts right now. Before Corona even hit, people didn't have the money. The corporations did. We were working for our scraps that we had on the table. And then whenever Corona hit, then all of a sudden we started losing our jobs. I'm a lucky person that did not lose mine. And because of that, like, so far, so good type of deal. But there's a lot of people that haven't. And there's a lot of people that were complaining about like, oh, well, these people are getting paid more to be off work than they are to be at work. I'm like, what's wrong with that? This is temporary. Like, this is to make sure that not only can they afford their housing, they can hopefully afford their electric and their food bills. And it's like, what's wrong with something that nobody could like, well, I mean, like we had an idea that stuff like this can definitely happen, but it was of no fault of their own as to on why they lost their job. We want to encourage people to stay at home. And with that, you have to give money out to people. It has to happen, because otherwise you get the situation that you have right now on where people are now getting desperate. They want things to open up. You've got small business owners that want to open their business regardless as to on what their climate is at any given point in time. So you've got people, and then you've got people that just want to feel good about backing those small businesses and get out there and give them their money and to give them their business. So you're creating this line of desperation to get people out there that want to work, that are willing to work, and they want to go back to work. So then you're perpetuating this problem of continuously passing around coronavirus as a free to go bag. And it's just one of those things on where I'm sitting here thinking about it, and it's just like, we need to keep people at home right now. Like right now, weather's getting bad. Like people get the sniffles now, and more than regular during, especially the first few months of the change of weather in this country. I know my sinuses have started acting up. So then you're moving around more germs, you're touching more things because you're shopping to try to get stuff for Christmas. And it's just like, we need to stop. And we, like take time, be with your family, do, any way that you can as safely as you possibly can. But getting extended family all together under one roof, it's just like, it's not a smart decision to do.
Oh, we're not doing it. I mean, my family's not doing it. John is well aware. We've kept it small for that reason, because we don't want to get sick. We don't want to get family members sick. On the issue of unemployment, 20 million people are out of a job right now. A 20 million number again. 20 million people in this nation are not working. You got a 7.5% unemployment rate. 890,000 people, I think it was Thursday, was reported new claims for unemployment. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. And the fact that you're giving someone money to live, to survive, they're paying their bills, they're paying their house payments, they're buying groceries, they're actually paying taxes when they buy something, they pay sales taxes. And that is far more desirable than choking those people out so that banks can come in and take their homes. That does nothing. That serves no one anyway, in any way. To take a house because they're behind a few house payments and then sell it for 2/3 of its value because you got to make 2/3 of its value to auction it off on the courthouse steps and have that foreclosure crisis as we did back in 2008, 9, 10. I sat in the courthouse here in Grant County and watched people one after the other come in and lose their home to foreclosure. They're not deadbeats. They're not lazy. They're trying to make a living. They had a structure a framework to live within, and that was stripped from them by a economic system that coddles the 1% and gives tough love to the rest of the country. 92% of American net worth is owned by 10% of American families. The lower strata of the economic picture here in this country lives on 4% of American net worth. That means 4%, the middle class is living on about 4%. There's something wrong with this picture. We have built from capitalism, the way they've structured it and the regulations and the way they've favored the corporations and banks, we have built something that is not the American ideal, but more a picture of neo-feudalism. And we're just living off the scraps.
Well, and it's like, you know, they don't want people to get comfortable with socialism, you know, getting money while they're not working. You know, that's their whole bullshit claim behind that.
Right. I don't know anybody doesn't work. Everybody works. Everybody has to. You have to get off your dead ass on your 9 feet and get it done. That's always. But their issue is if you're not on unemployment, you must be a deadbeat. And the truth of the matter is that unemployment provides that stream, that currency that is in the stream, just like blood in your veins. You've got to maintain the currency pressure to have a thriving economy so that it will be healthy. There's no percentage in trying to save blood by tourniquets on your arm. All that will cause is your arm to turn black and fall off. And that's basically, that's the economic policy of those people that think trickle down is a good idea. Trickle down has failed for decades.
Yeah.
They just say they're going to get it right next time. If they haven't.
Well, speaking of the economy, has anyone seen Bitcoin right now?
Yeah, over 20,000.
Yeah.
What's it at now?
It's sitting about that.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm like, that's what it was at yesterday.
Is it stable enough to maintain that value is the question.
Well, I just wish I would have bought it back when.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't everybody. It's like, we all heard about it, but it's like, I don't really know how this works. I can't really use it. And it's like, man, if I would have just bought it and held on to it, damn.
But this is going to sound...
There's always a bottom to fall. There's always a Ponzi scheme. Somebody always wins for a while, and then it goes away. I fear that's what Bitcoin is.
Well, the last time it was at this level, you know, we had people mortgaging their houses to buy Bitcoin. And then when it dropped, a lot of these people committed suicide because they literally lost everything. But now it's back up. It's like, imagine being one of those family members that might have access to that now. I mean, that's kind of messed up, but I mean, that it's a reality of, you know, it's worth something again.
They're digging up Uncle George's backyard right now looking for it.
But like getting back to like our like even our first bailout, I can't remember exactly on how much we gave to companies, but like to kind of finish my original thought, sorry, there was just a loud noise. That just threw me off.
Bail out.
I can't remember exactly on how much we gave companies and on how much they got versus how much we got. But my major issue with that and where I was going at with the companies had the money, we were working for our scraps. Because we've lost our jobs, because our unemployment is the way that it is, we can't survive without the money. These companies, however, are well within their grasp to survive. They are well within their grasp to like to basically just stop for a minute, to let and to where they could have given us like the civilians more money in order to where it's like, okay, we could have ordered, kept our housing market up. We could have kept our bills paid for, whatnot. And these corporations would have been just fine. I mean, look at all these companies right now that are capitalizing on our current market strictly because of Corona.
Mhm.
I mean, there was a piece on MSNBC on where they were talking like on how they're like, oh, well, we're not Bernie Sanders. We're not here to, to tax you and to steal your money and whatnot. We're here to give you a good pat on the back. I think that was the guy for Grubhub, I think it was, on where that statement was said. And I'm like, that is just so cringy. And because it's just like, you've got all these struggling people. You've got Grubhub, who does not, like, if you're making billions of dollars in 1 year, I'm just kind of like, you're not giving your employees enough. Like, something is not right there. And it's like, you could be paying your employees more. And I understand that it is a app that
Yeah, well, they're
people
registered
choose to-
as contractors, and
Yes.
then they don't have to give them health insurance either.
Well, it's the gig
Yeah.
employment. It's a gig employment. No more benefits, no more stability, no more permanent employment status. It's the part timer, the temp. That's what they're just reducing the status of the worker. But on the issue of spreading the pain around a little bit, I heard something about Canada doing this, particularly about restaurants. Okay, because restaurants are really suffering right now.
Yeah.
To spread it around, they're requiring that the restaurant owner or let's say pay 25% of the rent. The government will pay 50% of the rent, and the landlord will cut their rent by 25%. That's they share the pain, they share the burden, but it keeps people alive. That's one method of doing it. But going back to the issue of people staying in their homes, if you're paying your payment, which that would have worked back in 2008, 2009 when the foreclosure crisis came about. They gave all those trillions of dollars to the banks, but the better choice would have been give it to Main Street, let them pay their house payments. Would have kept the banks alive, would have kept it going, and kept people from losing their home and maybe their Bitcoin collection too.
Or at least being able to sell it themselves to them, where they could actually, get the bank back, like be able to make some off of it and also give it back to the banks as well. Like
Yeah.
it's you still give, like the banks still end up with theirs, and it's almost borderline on where like right now they'll take a loss on the top to make a loss or to make a gain later. Vegas, the house always wins. I mean, that's
The house does always win, and that's exactly what they've built. The bank is the house always wins. It's stacked a little bit too much, and that's but it's the only game in town.
Yesterday on Twitter, AOC had a nice poll that I participated in. It said, "Is $600 for the second COVID check enough?" So
no.
5.3% said yes.
Well,
32.8% said no. And like me, 62% said hell no.
Yeah.
That's adequate. That's
Yeah.
a good poll. She's been making a lot of those polls here lately, and I do like that one. And because I was getting ready, I forgot that, of course, but like Bill, when we first started talking about the stimulus package, Bill said that we might get 1,200, and I was like, last I heard, I'm like about 2 days ago, I'm like it was 600. And there's a lot of people saying like they'll probably cut a bill for somewhere in the middle, like $800. I mean, $800. I'm like, if I had lost my job, $800 would not even cover my mortgage. And
Yeah,
I'm not like my mortgage, my house is, you know, right there around $100,000. So it's above that, but it's just like, that's not enough for even a month.
just $600, $1,200 stimulus check. They can call it that if they want to. Back in the 70s, I think it was Ford. Gerald Ford came out with something called a rebate check. I think it was about $200. We'll do the math. $200 then, $1,200 now. Yeah, and it means nothing. It's a one-time hit. Now that weekly unemployment, that's important, and it's supposed to supplement. I understand, supplement your state unemployment if you're truly unemployed.
Well, and
that's
the
how
hilarious,
huh?
the hilarious part about this is before the first stimulus check, came out, you even had Republicans like Mitt Romney saying that for the American people to survive adequately, they needed $2,000 a month minimum.
Right.
And then after he said that, it was almost like, well, we have to underbid that.
Well, that's true. They were concerned about helping Biden. It's not got nothing to do with the debt or deficit. It is about the positive impact on Biden's economy, which is going to be contrasted to the Trump depression that we're in. We got to keep labeling that because it truly is Trump's baby. This is Trump's economy. What Trump called his economy after Obama left was Obama's economy, and he's done exactly what I knew he would do. He screwed it up because he always screws up. Yeah, right now in Atlantic City, they're auctioning off the honor of pushing the button that will bring down Trump's casino. Yeah.
Have either of you seen the pictures of all the cruise ships that are being dismantled right now?
Yes.
Because they can't afford to keep them, and they're getting bailouts.
Mhm.
Bailouts to what? Because they're not maintaining their fleet. They're having them broke up because it's cheaper to have them broke up than to maintain them.
They're not maintaining their employees either. They're supposed to be paying their expenses with that, their rent, their utilities, their employees, 75% of this, that PPP loan, and it might be forgiven. Otherwise, they got to pay it back. But if they're broke or dismantles, if we say that, who's paying back what? Nothing.
Yeah, how are you going to get your money back if you don't have any ships to use?
That's right.
Shame global warming's a thing, because otherwise they could just, ship them out into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and run into an iceberg and collect insurance money on it.
There you go. Captain Trump would do that.
He would try.
Oh, he'd do it without trying.
I mean, as long as he's the captain,
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Oh, the sinking ship would be the biggest fraud.
Oh, man.
The ship's not sinking. The water line is fine.
That's right. It's huge. Bigly.
Like it's almost up to your mouth. But yeah.
I can fit my entire family in the lifeboat. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Everybody else's should be fine.
Not the baby. Not the baby.
Oh, jeez.
Hydroxychloroquine will fix the leak. Oh, man. I've been hearing that come up a lot here again, too. Has anybody looked into that? I've been hearing about like that the whole best treatment still is the hydroxychloroquine. And I'm just like, aren't we over that by now?
Yeah, you would think.
I think because some Ajax, Comet,
Yeah.
Bounty, something.
Oh,
Some
Hey,
paper towels.
As long as they chug it together, I mean.
yeah.
You got 321,000 people dead right now, and on this world meter page, 321,000 people dead, 10 million cases. It says recovered. That's resolved. Okay. If that's 10 million resolved cases, 3% of them are resolved with death, and that's a steady number. Now, going by the same numbers, if they got another 8 million people here, that's another 240,000 people that will die if they maintain the 3% mortality. And it's what is today's the 18th, 321,000. You might hit 350.
Yeah,
by
weren't they saying every few minutes an American dies from this?
every minute?
Every minute.
More than 3,000 people died every day this past 4 or 5 days, I think. And
I see the vice president got his vaccine today.
Of course, he's special.
Yeah. Well, I like the whole vaccine thing. Like I am like the fact that they have gotten it out this quickly is incredibly impressive. I do find it troubling though that like nobody really has said their plan to distribute it. I'm kind of curious as to on how that's going to work out for everybody. But like I know that I see that the FDA seems to be going with the one that starts with the M.
Moderna?
Yeah, with their vaccine over the Pfizer from Pfizer's having the allergic reactions. And they were looking into that. And that was the last that I seen on that.
Well, it's about distribution if they can get it out. Pfizer says that they've got millions of doses available and nobody's coming to get it or distributing it. I only know of one Alaskan woman who had a negative reaction. Was there more than one person?
Actually, the Alaska lady's the only one that I know of. They said that there was a few, but nothing was. It didn't seem like anything was major. Like it didn't seem anything life-threatening from what I read. Yeah. Except like that one lady from, like you said, the lady from Alaska was the one that I more specifically read about.
I love the new hysteria they're trying to push, though, saying that the vaccine is going to basically make it so women can't have babies anymore. And it's like, really? You're going to go there, because they're trying to tie it in with this whole Bill Gates conspiracy thing where he's one of those people that believes in that. I don't know if you know about I don't even remember what state it is. There's these pillars that were erected in a field somewhere that say in every known language that the population is supposed to be kept under 500,000 people for the entire world. And they keep thinking that Bill Gates is part of this conspiracy, and they're trying to tie him with the vaccine, and it's just those conspiracy shows on the History Channel and stuff are entertaining, but people watch them and literally think it's fact.
Saturday morning cartoons are not documentaries. That's a fact.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, I'm more concerned about that. They get a microchip in that, that vaccine, and it's the mark of the beast. And all that garbage. Good God, man, are these people stupid or what? I mean, I don't know that. I grant you that every zombie movie starts out with a vaccine gone bad, but these people are already brain dead. So let's what the hell?
And John, those pillars that you're talking about are the Georgia Guidestones.
Oh, okay.
So, and now you've also got those one random pillars that seem to keep on popping up in random places throughout the world. Like I think that one in Utah, and even overseas. Huh?
About 2001, The Space Odyssey. It started out with a monolith and ended with it floating in space. Hal's out there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some sort of big Mormon conspiracy behind that one.
Yeah.
Those people.
Now, the another thing that I was kind of interested in on what your all thoughts about it was Joe Biden's top, what is to believe his top pick for the diplomat of China. The oh crap, I had his name and then I lost it. The dude from Disney.
Maybe you by just China ambassador?
Yes.
Trade. Okay.
It's like a 3-letter word.
Well, I just saw that there's a guy named Bob Iger. Is Iger?
Yes. Thank you.
That's a possibility. I don't know if they've done it, but
yeah, it hasn't been clarified yet, but they're saying that that's a good possibility that it could be. I really kind of don't think that it's going to happen, but just the fact that it's a possibility, I'm just kind of like, you all are fucking with us right now, right? Like, I'm just like, Biden, are you just trying to fuck this shit up? Like, why even bring that damn name up? South Park has already done a good number on Disney and China relations, and I'm just like, oh God, like this is horrible. Like the fact that name came out, to me, I don't know on who floated that idea, but I was just kind of like, you're giving these fanatic right-wing people just every single bit of ammunition you can possibly give them. Because I'm just like, that is like, because, you know, what was one of the main things that they were running on was that Biden was going to be weak on China. And then you go through and like Disney has got a history with China on where, you know, they're coming out with movies specifically to benefit China, to get their videos viewed more in China, more specifically. This Bob Iger guy, apparently he's raised praises to Winnie the Pooh over there. And I've already heard the complaints up around about this potential pick, but I'm just, you know, I'm just kind of like, why even float that pick out there? I'm really hoping that, you know, it's fake news. That's what I labeled it as work, just to be like, I can get in on that train too.
I really want them to aspire and attain competence. That's what I want. I want competence, which has been missing for 4 years. We're not going to get back. We have had people unable to perform. I mean, you know, and that includes China. We want somebody that goes over there that understands the culture and ours too, and works with them to communicate effectively. And that's every country. We want competence. We want goals. We want security, because we don't have that right now. I guess we're as weak now as at any time since 1865. And it's because of the stupid that is Donald Trump, who couldn't manage a hamburger stand unless he inherited a cattle ranch. The issue is we need competence. We need competent people in all aspects. The military is so weak right now. We're 100 ships down for the Navy. We're a number of divisions down for the Marines, marginally able, weak, not capable of carrying on more than a one-front war. Yet we spend 8 times on our defense budget what Russia does, but we're afraid of these people. It's a lot of fat, not much lean, not much muscle here. By the way, I'd like to put in my application for ambassador of Latvia. Nice place.
You know, you were talking about the Marine Corps. I did read that some of that is part of their restructuring program, where because they've gotten rid of all the Marine tank divisions, they no longer have artillery. So it's they're basically a on-call landing force, first strike landing force now,
So
instead
we
of
have
being
Space Force, and those guys are not going
yeah.
to be. They're going to be called Guardians of the
Oh my.
Galaxy, I suppose, of the galaxy. Yeah.
And speaking of military stuff and fake news, I see we've somehow lost half of the sensitive military equipment that was supposed to go to Afghanistan. I'm sure that'll turn up somewhere, in the hands of somebody we don't want it to be. But
Al-Qaeda, ISIS, the Saudis.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say the Saudis.
I don't trust the Saudis at all. Now, I will tell you that Trump's trying to maintain his economy by selling the F-35 fighter to anybody that'll buy him, pretty much. Qatar, the Sudan, the UAE, and it might be a subtle method of weakening them, because I understand the F-35 is pretty much a boondoggle.
yeah. Meanwhile, those countries that we were just speaking of, Russia and China, that have a smaller military budget, have come out with a better stealth fighter
and a hypersonic missile.
Yeah, because we walked out of that treaty too.
Chuck Yeager's glad he's dead.
Oh my.
I don't know of many people, I don't know anybody that is currently serving in the military, but a lot of the vets and stuff that I speak with, a lot of them were Trump supporters, and I know a fair amount of people that were for Trump and then also against Trump. I know fair share of both, but the ones that I have more in my ear are definitely more Trump supporters. But they talk about on how the VA seems to have gotten better with since Trump is in office, and that they seem to be getting treated better since Trump has been in office. And I know I asked them, I'm like, what exactly is it that they've gotten done? They're like, well, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm like, a lot of the people that I know said that it was getting better whenever Obama was in office. I'm like, they got easier, more accessibility to the facilities. They were actually getting their checks and everything on time like they were supposed to, this and that. And I'm like, are you sure that he's just not, that this, yet again, is not just another situation on where he's riding the coattails of the previous administration?
A lot of Obama era legislation has taken effect during Trump's term.
Yeah, especially
let's see what
first
takes
few years
after Trump leaves that he did.
Yeah, that they'll blame Biden for.
Well, they're going to blame, but the Trump depression is going to become Biden's next month. That's what they're trying to do by slowing down the stimulus. That's what they did to Obama. The Bush recession became his on January 20th. Okay, unemployment hit 8.3%, having risen 0.5% between inauguration day and February 1. But that was Obama's unemployment rate. And in April 15th, 2009, the less than 90 days after he took office, the entire national debt was because of that damn Kenyan. I mean, unbelievable. I had some dumbasses here on the Grant County Courthouse steps. They talking about $11 trillion. The national debt had grown, but it had only grown $200 billion since Obama had taken office due to policies put in place by the prior administration. And the first $1 trillion deficit plus was fiscal year 2009 that ended on September 30th, 2009. Before Obama spent the first nickel, the CBO had projected that the deficit would hit $1.2 trillion for fiscal year 2009. It actually hit $1.4 trillion. But, recessions aren't free, and neither is Republican freedom. And you know how to spell that, FREEDUMB.
Oh. the like I heard a phrase a long time ago that I was like, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, man, I really need to start looking into that more. But the gentleman talked about landmine politics and on how they're like, yeah, it can be good at first, but then it turns out to be detrimental years down the road, and it wreaks havoc later. And I'm really, really afraid of that, especially during the first term of President-elect Biden's term. I am horrified of that. I've got a feeling that there's a lot of stuff in there that people don't even know about that's going to happen. Like the one thing that we do know about for a fact is our tax cuts that we got this year. They are not permanent like they were for the companies.
Yes.
Which, taxes are never permanent. They can always change with any administration. And a lot of people, I don't think, really pay attention to that. They are like, oh, well, they're wanting to raise taxes for the rich. And it's like, yeah, but I'm like, after 4 to 8 years, the next administration can come in and cut them right back down. So you need to be aggressive with it. That way you can actually see some of the benefits right then and now, not 10 years from now. We've became more and more instant gratification, which causes us to kick the can down the road. And it seems like we're reaching a new threshold now. They're still working on this stupid bridge getting to Cincinnati. I almost got stuck in traffic. Thankfully, I didn't. I got there just at the nick of time. But I mean, people were talking about like, well, what do? We need to get this bridge fixed. And I'm like, well, we need to, we need, of course we need to get it fixed, but that bridge needs to be replaced, not fixed. And the way that stuff gets fixed is either taxes or polls or both. And it's just like, somebody needs to bite the bullet here. And I'm like, you can sit there and say all that you want that, millionaires and billionaires like, oh, well, they pay all these taxes and stuff already to be able to fix that stuff. And it's like, but do they really pay enough? Like,
No.
Thank you, John. And it's just like, whenever you actually look at what causes a lot of the destruction to the roads, it is semi trucks. It is these heavier ass trucks that are carrying goods to and from locations to get them out to us. So whenever you have that, it's like these companies should be paying more in taxes because they are causing more wear and tear on our infrastructure. Mm-hmm. They are causing a lot of strain on our infrastructure. So therefore, should they not be reliable for more of the taxes that we're doing that is causing those damages?
And, the Biden camp has already said multiple times that if you make under $300,000 a year, you got nothing to worry about.
Yep.
They better qualify by informing people of what's going to happen to that Trump tax thing, though.
Yeah.
The taxes are going up, but it's not going to be a Biden action. It's going to be the result of Trump's stupid. Now the issue of trucks and weight, that's an Eastern Kentucky thing. I lived there. The coal trucks were overloaded. They go down the highway. They would gouge the highway. They'd cause the asphalt to ripple and look like a ocean wave. And they did not wish to pay for what they did. And a lot of companies, like the West Virginia governor, didn't pay their taxes. And he was like, I don't know how much, millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars are owed. And that's why those roads are horrible. The bridge up here could have been fixed for $500 million 15 years ago, 17 years ago. Today it's going to cost $3 billion plus to repair it. And I say repair, it needs to be widened. It's a bottleneck. It needs to be widened. It needs to be lanes capable of handling all that traffic. I mean, I leave when I did go to court before this crap happened, for the half-hour trip to Covington at the courthouse, I would leave an hour or more early and still flirt with being late because of that mess, that bottleneck. And,
not only is it a bottleneck, but it's a bottleneck at the bottom of a hill. So
Yeah.
like semi truck drivers, like they have, like the speed limit's 55, trucks are going 45, and cars are still trying to drive 70 or 80 like the rest of the highway.
Mhm.
I mean, have either of you been on the West Virginia Turnpike before?
I remember.
Anyway, I used to travel it a lot, and it is a really nice road, and it has tolls throughout the whole system. The only issue is they've never, calculated it correctly, so it makes actually a lot of money. And West Virginia found it more profitable to sell the turnpike. I don't know how this works, but they sold the turnpike to a foreign entity.
Public-private partnership.
And
Yeah.
but I mean, the funny part it is it still one of the better roads that I've traveled.
Because those companies that own it are more interested in the quality of what they purchased than we are here in this state, where we hire the same contractors over and over to fix the roads they never build correctly. Whereas if I go to Europe and I'm on a toll road, yes, and I got a speed limit of 100 miles an hour, which ain't so bad, and the road is like glass, and you don't, I-75 is a gravel road in comparison, and it sounds like the West Virginia Turnpike's like that. As another issue may be that foreign entity knows a bit more about road building than we do here. Or
Yeah, I'm thinking it's India or Brazil, somebody like that owns that.
Now, not to be handing out bones, but that road is owned by a private company now.
Yeah.
I guess like the question that it brought up to me is that I'm like, so just me playing devil's advocate here. So it is a good situation on where privatization of a public source would be highly beneficial, is being highly beneficial. Let's say it's being highly beneficial, because we all know that, like, if we start doing that with every single road, it's not going to work.
Right.
There's some contractual obligation for them to maintain it, that if they fail to do so, it'll cost them. So
Yeah.
they're motivated to do it right.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's no different than a state hiring a contractor to do a job. I mean, I remember in Florence, like they hired one contractor, paid them gobs of money to redo Mall Road, and then they put in trees, did all this stuff, and then as soon as they got it done, I don't even think it was a week later, like none of the stuff was to code. They had to tear it all back out and restart. And I think, at first, I think the city of Florence had to eat that money, but I don't know if they ever got that money back or not. But I was just trying to get some clarification on that.
Well,
Actually, looking at it, I might have heard that wrong. I don't actually see any evidence of them selling the turnpike. I guess that must have been a story that had just been passed around.
well, they proposed a public-private partnership for the Brent Spence Bridge, and you've got some people up there that's totally against tolls, but they're also totally against getting anything done. And they can structure the tolls such that if you have, and they do it with devices in the vehicles to keep record of people that cross and what it might cost them to pass. Why could they not structure it? Because they're more worried about tolling the local person. Structure the tolls on that bridge in such a manner that the people that are local pay less or nothing, while the people that are transients, truckers, whatever, that they pay full boat for crossing the river. Because let's face it, they're going north and south. They're not going to stop going north and south. And that might drive them to the bypass, but then again, does that not serve the purpose as well.
You know, with all the technology we have, why not develop something where it's like a sticker on the car that gets scanned and,
They
you
have
know, okay, well, like,
that.
you know, just send them a bill in the mail at the end of the month. I mean,
Whenever I took a road trip to Texas with a buddy, and they have it was literally just like a better version of FastPass at Kings Island.
Nice.
There was like a little sticker that you put up in your windshield, and I think you could either pay monthly or yearly, but it was at a highly discounted rate. And then as they drove through, it just picked up the RFD chip and the sticker. Now I don't know I don't know all the like specifically on how they were charged for that, but yeah, they do have those RFD stickers to them where it just picks it up, it identifies you, at least identifies the car.
yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about it, not living close to a toll system, but I mean, is that how that Easy Pass thing for the toll system works, where you just shoot around and
Yeah, that way you don't have to actually stop. You can just keep on going the natural speed limit.
There's a method
on a-
to it because I was given an opportunity in Florida when I rented a car that, you know, rather than have to stop, you can go right through if you get that device. And they
nice?
collect it later.
Yeah, I mean, some way to make it easier on the local people. I mean, obviously, you know, more people would be for it.
Agreed. But like I agree with that 100%. Like I don't see a reason like I understand that it's another irritation that you have to do. But it's just kind of like do it at the same time that if it's at the DMV, you can do it literally the same exact time that you're paying the taxes on your car to get the tags on them. And there's no reason as to why you couldn't do it online at the same website. Even create a notification at the same time and have it based around getting the tags for your car.
But repairing that bridge, such a pattern that you're describing there, would be a stimulation to the economy by putting people to work. One, building the bridge. Two, opening up travel. Three, bringing tax dollars in here to handle other things as well as that road. And that's what we should be doing nationally, because the Republican aspect is we don't spend any money. We just expect Skittles and jelly beans to fall from the sky to build our bridges, you know, and we're not getting that. And that goes back to, let's get some competent individuals in government, and that means no Republicans, so we can handle that. How long have we been on there, John?
Not sure, quite a while. So unless anyone's got anything else, we probably close it down.
Well, I was looking up this whole Easy Pass thing. I'm not really finding anything.
I'll try to set a timer next time, Bill.
All right.
Go ahead.
The first thing that I can see is that I'm reading something right now.
I'm surprised. Oh, go ahead.
It says Easy Pass at tolled highways is cheaper than paying with cash. Easy Pass account holder, you receive 5% discount off of tolls each time you pay for the tolls. While 5% may not be much, enjoying such a discount over time as a regular toll road user is quite a lot. So it's a 5% discount.
That sounds nice and all, but I definitely think it should be even better percentage for the local people. I mean, that have to travel it a lot.
Yeah, like I mean, a lot of the toll, depending on the tolls that I've been through, they can be. I've seen $6 tolls, and I've seen 50-cent tolls. Now the 50-cent tolls I think those were more on higher trafficked roads. But like I always liked it whenever you would go through a toll, and then on your way back, like whenever you crossed a certain place, they would then turn around and give you your money back. might give you a few bucks back.
Of course, I think a better plan to even avoid this situation is have the toll stations about 10 miles out from the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have to be about 10 miles. Just because you would not want that hold up at the going down that fucking hill.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That hill's horrible. I cannot stand that hill.
Well, I'm just saying it would you know, alleviate the strain on the locals, period, if you did something like that.
Totally makes sense. But yeah, I just seen that. I was looking for that real quick and wanted to get that out there.
All right. Well, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Curse the Republicans and go forward.
Woohoo.
All right. And please join us next week. And thanks for watching.
All right.
All right.